Here he is, Shane Van Gisbergen, who has curtailed now his drifting activities for focus on the V8 Supercar Championship. We may see him do some international GT races later in the year. That's a work in progress.
To the Fuso starting grid for race 2 of the championship for 2015. Scott McLaughlin gets on the front row for Volvo. Terrific effort in qualifying. Fabian Coulthard finished on the podium in race 1 today. It was a personal best for David Reynolds in qualifying here. Probably didn't shout out enough about that yesterday, and he's pretty pumped, as you heard there on the grid heading into this race. Chaz Mostert comes off the back of a personal best starting position for this round of the championship. Garth Tander did a very good job to work through the field as well. And amazingly, James Moffat in the 99, Neil, no issues with that car despite the contact with the wall in race 1.
It was a minor miracle to be able to sidestep that as an issue. He did end up with a car that had too much understeer. It turned out that the left front side of that car was the corner that actually took the biggest hit when he rubbed the wall down there at turn 8. He was right under the back of Lee Holdsworth's car at the time and just got sucked into the corner a little bit. But they were able to do their pit stop, and that surprised him as well. Indeed, we made a remark about that. We didn't think that he'd get through that. So good job to survive that one. They've made a little change to that car to try and smarten it up now for this second race today.
Guys, just to clear up, there is no issue with Tim Slade's car, but the timekeepers wanted to adjust the device on his car. Clearly, Adrian Burgess did not want them to do that, given how close it is to the race start. Therefore, he was talking to the V8 Supercar officials, but nothing wrong with his car.
There he's on screen at the moment. Tim Slade, he ran longer in that first race, and it benefited. So they really got a gain from that. Jason Bush, his engineer, was pretty pleased with the strategy, gave them a little bit of clear air, and as a result, they jumped some cars. They've made a little change to his vehicle as well going into this race in search of more performance, and they'll have to keep on chasing the track. It'll continue to have more rubber on it that's cleaning up. There is more cloud cover. The wind velocity has changed, and there's still the threat of showers, even the percentage possibility of thunderstorms as we go on board here with Jamie Whincup. We were with Scott McLaughlin. They'll have a nice tyre bank to work with, but Richard Holway, his engineer, is a little bit frustrated because now they've got to play pin the tail on the donkey when it comes to setup, try and guess the best way to approach this race, and everybody else has now had a rehearsal, and that's an important factor.
It was a very memorable Clipsal 500 last year for McLaughlin.
Turned out to be a sync sensor problem also with Chaz Mostert in that last lap, which took a bit of firepower away from him when he was trying to vie for the lead. Came at an awkward time, but at least he got home and got some critical points in car 6.
Okay, mate. Still cars coming around the last corner now. Still more cars coming around the last corner.
Had a slightly slower stop for Rick Kelly. Dropped 2 seconds according to the Nissan team
the last corner now,
in that race 1.
Last car is in its grid box. Green flag, green flag.
Here we go. Race 2 of the Clipsal 500. McLaughlin gets away. Will lead them into the first turn. And Coulthard tries to come through on Jamie Whincup as they run up to 3 for the first time. Courtney having a look in the 22 as well. But it's a good start in the 33 for McLaughlin.
It was interesting to watch Fabian Coulthard. They're going to investigate, I should say, car number 33 for his start. It looked very good relative to Whincup. Might have been too good. But I was curiously watching Coulthard, and he had a great arm wrestle going with Jamie Whincup in those first few corners. He was potentially exposed to some attack from James Courtney while all that was going on, but he managed it very well. But he pushed it as much as he could, and as he came out of turn 3, because the corner radius was tightened up for him by virtue of the fact that Jamie was on his right-hand side, on cold tyres he was sliding, and he managed it. but that was a real nail-biter there for a minute. But have a go at the margin. It's 1 second for McLaughlin. Under investigation. Then Whincup, Coulthard, Courtney, Van Gisbergen, Lowndes, Reynolds, Winterbottom, Slade and Mostert your top 10.
The angle of the shot we had at the beginning of the start, I was nervous to call it as a jump, but it looked like a brilliant start for McLaughlin. So it's under investigation. Clean start by everyone. Coulthard looks good in the 14, doesn't he? So too does Jamie Whincup.
Fabian was very strong at the beginning of the last race as well, and then ended up with a little bit too much understeer as the race crept on. This is on board Mark Winterbottom. Position number 8, looking at his teammate David Reynolds. Here's the start. Let's focus on car 33. There's the lights, top left corner. Ooh, I need to be cross-eyed to manage this one.
Borderline, but is that a jump in your opinion?
The wheels have got to be stationary. It looked like it might be. It's one of those things that you need to look at time and again. Very difficult to be 100% certain, but they'll have a good look at that in race control. It's because the car's on the extreme right of frame and the lights are on the extreme left of frame, so it's a bit tricky to actually marry all that up.
So some good sectors popping up for McLaughlin. The pieces are a good one together. Will he be able to retain it? Under review.
The part that mitigates against Scott in this instance is he flinched, and that makes everyone look at him as well. But the fact that he flinched, thought about it, and then proceeded, probably not looking too good for him, but we'll wait and see. Race control will have a view once they've studied the evidence. The fastest man on the racetrack at the moment is Craig Lowndes. He's in position number 5. McLaughlin's got 0.9 of a second. In fact, just in this sector, he's stretched that out to 1.1 seconds over Whincup. Whincup's got his hands full here at the moment. Fabian is pressing on. He stood still a little bit too long in the pit lane for Brad Jones' liking when they had to put fuel on in that previous race. He felt that hurt, and that allowed Mostert to get in the game and ruin their party. But they know they've got a quick race car at the moment.
Is that conservatism? Do you think they felt as though Mostert didn't necessarily take on fuel in their stop and that Chaz may have had a quicker stop? As we take a look here, Whincup defends.
He's covering. He's allowed to do that while he's a car length clear. Further back, some elbow rubbing here also between Garth Tander and James Moffat. And they've gone for 3 bites of the cherry there between them. And James just trying to force the issue down. He's almost in the right-hand gutter as Ryan Walkinshaw, the owner of the red car, is watching. Blake Smith in the foreground, Adrian Burgess, Alistair McVeigh also there with Adrian. Here's the race leader. It's now 0.8 of a second. He's lost a little bit of cushion. McLaughlin, Whincup, Coulthard, Courtney, Lowndes, Van Gisbergen. That's the top 6. Great middle sector split for Craig Lowndes, who looks racier in this one.
Some good sectors. When you look at those laps there.
10-second hold penalty in the pit stop for car number 33, Scott McLaughlin. Wow. We're hearing on the back channel from race control. So jump start, they don't give you a tour through pit lane because it's adjudged to be too severe. A couple of years ago, the rules were amended that when you come in for your stop, you're held for an additional 10 seconds, and so you'll see that come up officially very shortly.
33, false start. Penalty being a 10-second time penalty served at the completion of its first pit stop.
Voice of Tim Schenken, the race director in CAM's race control, confirming what I just mentioned to you. The fastest man on the racetrack is Jamie Whincup. He's done a 1 minute 22.3, and it's a seesaw margin of about 0.8 to 1 second at the moment between McLaughlin and Whincup, and the reaction in at Volvo, Gary Rogers Motorsport. And you see the wisdom of Richard Holway there saying, well, you know, he just blinked and presses on. The boys around him are hopping and bouncing. A couple of cars have come in now. And you'll see Whincup come in at the end of this lap.
So down at Holden Racing Team, James Courtney in.
All clear. Go.
Straightforward compared to the stop last time around. Gets out just ahead of Lowndes, just ahead of Craig Lowndes. Good stop by Red Bull Racing Australia.
Sorry, Rusty, I just was offline for a moment, just having a look behind the scenes at some numbers here. There was some very efficient pit stops in that earlier race today. Oh, we've got a huge drama here.
Mostert.
And that'll have been hooked up on, that rear wing will have been hooked up on the air pipe and a gantry, I would imagine. Perhaps on departure or arrival. So it's yanked the rear wing end plate off Chaz Mostert's car, who got a great result in that earlier one, and that's game over.
I reckon you're right. Doesn't look like... Is there... Oh, no,
Oh, no, there's actually more to the story. Yeah. Okay, I thought it may have actually hooked up on the licorice straps there in pit lane, which I've seen happen once or twice over the years, but it's actually yanked the rear wing off that as a result of making contact. Maybe the turn 8 wall, we'll wait and see. So next batch of cars in. So Whincup, Coulthard, Van Gisbergen. Now what I imagine Richard will do, Richard Holway that is
going to be quick just like last time.
he'll just be juggling numbers at the moment to get an idea as to how long he should run Scott McLaughlin. Whether it's better to pit him now and take the pain early, which gives him a longer chance to recover, if that was tight, or do you pit him later and try and build a cushion? Probably go for earlier than later, I think.
Quicker stop there from Brad Jones Racing, do you think, relative to race 1? So they're having a crack here. Shadowed. Car 1 out of the lane. Good stuff for the Freightliner crew.
Check out the replay. Look for Chaz Mostert. Big oversteer moment because he launched off the inside curb and he's grabbed the wall at 8. Turn 8 bites again. It's yanked the rear wing off, but it's actually bigger than that because it's damaged the left rear corner of that car, and that's mega impact.
So it goes from being a strong finisher in race 1 to this.
P2 in the previous one. I reckon from that very first replay that we saw, he actually got the inside curb. Because he actually bounced, looked like he bounced, and it ended up carting him wide. So we'll try and verify that again. So Coulthard looks good here. They've done a nice stop at Freightliner Racing. They're shadowing Jamie Whincup and keeping the argument alive here. Meantime, the leader of the race is McLaughlin. He's got 7.3 seconds. Richard Holway is sitting there at the moment thinking about his pace relative to those around him. How does he play the game here to try and reduce the pain? Yes, he definitely got the inside curbing at turn 8. Quite a lot of it too, so he's turned in early. Here we go. Yeah, big kick of the steering wheel and the corresponding shot across the road straight into the concrete wall. So a double whammy. They'll need to look carefully at the geometry of both sides of that car now, and they'll have pretty significant damage on the left rear, Murph.
Mate, big moment down there at turn 8. Obviously got the inside curve. We could see just on the in-car then as we were watching.
Yeah, for sure. I was stuck up behind Timmy Slade there and didn't quite turn in a little bit earlier, as you do when you're behind someone trying to see where you're going. And I've just clipped the inside wall and it spat me out the outside. So 1 minute you're in second place the race before, and then this one you're DNF. So it's a long year. I feel really bad for the guys here at PRA. They've given me a fantastic car this weekend. So we'll get it fixed up, get it ready for tomorrow, and hopefully qualify a bit more at the front where I don't get jammed up behind some cars.
Such a fine line when you're out there, turn 8 guys, as we talk about all the time. Quite a bit of damage, as you can see. The hub, as I think you were referencing before, Neil, substantial damage. So not just the wing, but clearly there'll be some underlying damage inside that wheel and probably in the suspension too.
Yeah, Murph, while you're there, just point out and just give us an indication. The cars now have a transaxle, so the gearbox and the diff is at the rear of the car, and they'll need to look closely at that, won't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that pressure that's gone up against that wheel, as you know, the independent rear suspension, those A-arms underneath, bound to be one of them for a track arm, but potentially an axle's punched through that transaxle as well.
Thanks, Greg. Fabian Coulthard's got a curb strike as well. Only 2 drivers have got a curb strike so far, but still racy and very quick at the moment is Craig Lowndes. He's done a 1 minute 21.7, be the fastest man on the racetrack, and he's going on with it this lap. He's got the fastest first sector split at the moment, Lowndes, and he's actually just picked up his second curb strike. So that's costly early in the game on lap 8 of 39. Lowndes is burning up the curb strike bank too rapidly.
Looked like the stop for Ash Walsh wasn't necessarily synchronised. They had some slightly slower stop on the right rear there as the 4 rejoin. McLaughlin leads the way in this one from Slade, Tander and Moffat. Here's the 33 now.
He's got a bit more flexibility because of the tyres that are available to him. There's that debris on the racetrack. It actually looks like it's having a bit of a breathe there at the moment.
So he leads the way, but a penalty to serve. What a day for Scott McLaughlin so far. pressing on here. It's 9 seconds. You think that looks more like smoke of some kind, doesn't it?
It's definitely breathing something. Now, one of the dramas you have, there's a colloquial term for this, Greg, and when you have to rush an engine change and you put the crew under so much pressure, it really tests everybody's discipline. And it gives rise to the possibility of a thing we call finger trouble. And I just wonder somewhere whether something wasn't tensioned, something didn't go in quite right, because there's certainly a little telltale sign behind that car at the moment. Oh, this is not good. Kelly and Dale Wood and Todd Kelly literally had to fly the curb. Both of them, Todd and Dale, got a curb strike for that. Ash Walsh down the inside on the tight side of the road. He's going to get Dale. They make contact and round goes Dale Wood straight into the wall.
And that door of Woods already looked like it wasn't quite sealed right. He already had damage on that car. So was it an ongoing argument with Todd, perhaps?
Eyes forward, eyes forward.
We had that incident with Heingartner in race 1. They added the equivalent of a pit lane penalty to Woods' time after the race wrapped up. Here's Tander, the 2 in now.
As soon as you drop, you can go. Clear run. Yep. Line yourself up with feet. Line yourself up. Yep. There's the drop plate, you can go.
Rihanna?
Will Davison, when it's not your day, it certainly isn't your day. You try to get out there for one lap, but you find yourself back in the garage.
Yeah, the guys worked so hard between races to try and get the issue rectified. We thought we were all good. We just made it to the grid, and it's obviously a carryover issue with the clutch. I noted as soon as I took away that clutch didn't quite feel right, but we had enough to get off the line. As soon as I took off for the formation lap, the clutch completely failed. So, yeah, I think there's some significant sort of carryover damage from before. So, no, it's pretty shattering, it's an understatement, but everyone should keep their heads up. Everyone's worked really hard here at Erebus, and we've got a big year ahead of us, so we've just got to dust ourselves off and come back tomorrow.
For a group, start again tomorrow. Thanks, Will.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Busy day at the office now for Garth Tander when he comes out in front of this battle pack at the moment. David Reynolds is in behind. He's got a curb strike 2 on this lap. So they're all starting to light up the curb strike board. Winterbottom just having to cover down there. He's looking at David Reynolds at the same time as covering Michael Caruso.
Garth Tander finished well, finished strong in that first race of the day. And when I spoke to Adrian Burgess about it at the Holden Racing team, he said, yeah, but the drama is qualifying the previous day. We've just got to qualify stronger, get up the order better. Yes, he's racing well and he can cut through the field like that. But you're on the back foot a little if you have a tough run in qualifying.
Tim Slade's done the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, a 1 minute 21.6 in car number 47. Mark Winterbottom, we were riding with him then. He actually got a curb strike, so that was too much. It just went past the track limits.
Replay of the incident. Dale Wood in the 21. To the left of your screen is Todd Kelly in the Pilatus Nissan Altima as they came through one. Watch this.
And at that very moment, both of them got a curb strike. Todd really had no choice, although it's not a good place to be on the outside down there at turn 1. Should I make the obvious analogy here?
It's because of hazard, isn't it?
It's got Pilatus backing. Of course, it's going to fly. Sorry, Seb.
All the while, it helped Ash Walsh, didn't it? While those guys were at it, and he was able to make gains and get right into the battle when they got to 3. Another look at it now.
Here he's from overhead, and yeah, that's. I mean, once Todd's out there high and wide, there may have been a bit of wisdom in just fanning the throttle, and then because of all that, it then invited Ash Walsh down the inside, who just there's no way he could pull it up because the braking performance on the inside of the road is terrible down there, and the radius is very, very tight. So here it is on board with him. Cameras in every car, shot down the inside, because you're also a bit blindsided as to precisely where you are on the road when you go up the inside like that, and it's bumpier and it's slipperier. So Dale cops a whack for that. Well, unless I've missed the bulletin somewhere. I haven't heard anything from race control about that one as yet. Keep an eye out for Jason Bright here as well, because he qualified poorly in this one. And you can be sure that the standard procedure will apply here for the team in at Brad Jones Racing Team BOC. They'll run him long to try and find a way to recover. So expect Bright to press on a little here. It'll be a bit dependent on lap speed. So it's McLaughlin, Moffat and Bright. They are the three that have not yet stopped. The first in the queue who's taken his stop, as it was in the previous race today, Jamie Whincup, then Fabian Coulthard. This is the battle pack. Car number 55 at the head of the queue. It's David Reynolds in 11th. Mark Winterbottom behind has just had his second curb strike. He's got a pile of pressure from Michael Caruso, who was really cranky that he picked up the tyre bundle at turn 1 in race 1. The guard folded back. That damaged the tyre. Then he had to come in and rectify that, so he's a bit down in the mouth. But the upside of the story, good pace, really good pace in that car.
Looks aggressive here too, doesn't he? In the 23. He started the season with the number 10 at the Super Test, but running 23 now, and this is preferred or iconic racing number, if you like.
Lots of personal best laps on that last lap. About 6 drivers have done a pretty good job punch out their best, and in actual fact the best first sector of anybody on that last lap was James Moffat in this race. He's still in second spot, hasn't taken his stop as yet. This is the run to turn 7. You straddle the exit curb at 6, take a little bit of the curbing on the inside at 7. There is James, and he ducked a bullet in that last one, as we described earlier. Made contact reasonably square with the wall at turn 8 in the previous race, although it was the left front that copped more of the whack. It did hurt the car a little bit. He didn't notice it so much in the first 2/3 of the lap, but the last third of the lap, he said it really did hurt, had a little bit too much understeer.
I think he battled for the rest of the lap, right hand down, didn't he, and had to be a little cautious as a result, but amazingly no problems in the pit stop, and he was able to get through to the finish. Scott Sinclair and the Nissan team, they were very surprised it wasn't much worse, and that he was able to finish in the 99. So doing a good job at the moment. Second, Moffat.
What's impressive about James' wheel work here at the moment is he's not too fussy on the steering wheel. So if you were to look at that as a steering trace after the race, see he turns in, makes a couple of little alterations to just make the line precisely what he wants. He's relaxed at the wheel. Little brake pressure check to make sure he brings the pads up. We've got full pan and tilt coverage with these cameras. You can see his cool suit coupled up there, and all of the apparatus down in the bottom left-hand side, where typically a passenger's feet would be, is all of the engine control unit equipment, all the ECU equipment, all of the electronics of the car. They mount it as low as they can because they want the lowest possible centre of gravity in the car. Everything that you can mount lower makes a difference. And then just behind him and kind of beneath the camera is where the cool suit apparatus is, and they wrap the hose for the air vent to the top of his helmet to try and protect the air. Once it goes over 32.9 degrees, as published by the Bureau of Meteorology, they must use their cool suit systems, and you can see that quite fancy in these cars. And you can see the gear linkage there from the sequential shift and the Albans transaxle. There's a big silver bar that links all the way back to the transaxle and is actually actuating the gear changes in the car. So James can control the front and rear anti-roll bars. He controls the front and rear percentage of brake bias, and he looks like he's nicely in a rhythm out there at the moment. That last lap for him was a pretty healthy lap time. He's got good consistency in the car.
Hey guys, just an update on Scott McLaughlin. No one's too concerned in here about that little trail of smoke that we noticed earlier on. That doesn't seem to be on their radar as a problem. He's probably going to run pretty long, as you'd imagine, when they've changed their strategy once that penalty came through. They were looking probably to run just around half earlier on, but he's got a clear track, so they're going to push it as long as they can.
Yeah, so they're electing to do the long run clear air. So Krusty's decided that clear air is going to serve him better than burying him back in the traffic and then getting tangled, not being able to use the pace in the car. But to get to that point, he still would have calculated, okay, where would he drop on if I take the pain now? Where would he drop in after I've done the 10-second penalty? And obviously it wasn't good news.
Slade, a quick lap at 21.61, but the race being led by Scott McLaughlin from James Moffat. Riding with the Pepsi Max crew entry of Mark Winterbottom as he chases David Reynolds. If you've just tuned in, second of those FGX Falcons from ProDrive Racing Australia out of the game. Chaz Mostert clouding the wall at 8.
We're watching this group of cars here, including James Courtney and Craig Lowndes. They are 6th and 7th in the field at the moment, but personal best lap that last lap for Jason Bright, who's third running long, 1 minute 22.3 for him. One of 3 guys yet to stop. Fuel load's coming down. Tyre condition is also going down relative to some of those behind him. They're burning United E85 at the rate of around about 3 litres a lap, rough averages. There's this little bit of telltale smoke that we spoke about before, which Greg Murphy reported the team are not too concerned about at the moment, but doesn't look good. But provided all the telemetry that they're getting back in the garage says that there's no immediate threat, they can press on. Look at this, Caruso down the inside of Winterbottom. Is he going to stop it? No, is the answer. And he nails David Reynolds. What a disaster.
Bonus for Lee Holdsworth, who's straight through. And Rick Kelly came with him. What a shame for Reynolds. 23 just not able to pull it up. David Wall gets by now. Marcus Ambrose closing in the background there. Ambrose currently 20th in the 17. It looked good as Michael tried to dive down the inside. Now we've got damage on this car.
And while that was going on, the race director has also asked his officials around the circuit to monitor car number 33, because they're noting now that the smoke is obviously worse from that car, but they're not seeing oil on the road. So it was a shame for Michael Caruso, who's had a shot down the inside, pulled the trigger, and then at the last moment was unable to stop, and it's nailed David Reynolds. And to add insult, big chance to cop a penalty for that one. Here it is again from above. It's because there's a couple of cars involved, and see, Michael was actually locked up and it carted him wide. He couldn't actually get the speed arrested to the point where he could turn the car. Watch for him down, he'll flash out the right-hand side here. And then it almost looks as though he's going left. It's because he's going straight ahead and couldn't stop it. No ABS, no anti-skid braking on these cars. The driver, oh no, Caruso has hit the wall at 8. So we saw that the front left tyre was being aggravated by that front guard. And he's had a drama. It's fired into the wall. It's collapsed the left front suspension and busted the rear wing on that car.
Safety car boards and flag, safety car boards and flag. Safety car, just stand by. Cars off in the runoff at turn 9, just stand by.
Game over for Michael Caruso. He'll be back tomorrow for another qualifying. Hopefully he'll get a shot at the shootout. And of course, 250 Ks in the afternoon, but turn 8, as it's done over the years here and as it's done already this weekend, claims another victim. So the car is parked off the exit there at 9, and Tim Schenken, race director, has been on the radio. So Scott McLaughlin, Gary Rogers Motorsport, they take the opportunity here to pit. Remember, a penalty to be applied.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that.
Reminder, yeah.
A bit eager there to get on with it.
Jason Bright in 2.
So that was the moment to try and take the pains where it would least affect. But either way, it doesn't matter which way you cut it, it's just a disaster to have to go through all that. So he's tangled up with James Moffat now. James is 8th. Oh, gee, Michael just couldn't get it turned at all, so I suspect the tyre had actually gone flat at that point. Yeah, he was already well wide of the line. And remember, this is after contact with David Reynolds the previous lap down here at turn 9. He knows what's about to happen here.
First DNF for Caruso at this event since 2009. It can be such an exhilarating place to watch them, but man, can it bite, turn 8. And that damage to Caruso that had already happened just enough to set this in motion.
Also want to see whether that shifted the wall. Yeah, it has shifted the wall, so they'll probably end up moving a forklift up there too. I thought I saw that in the previous shot, so that'll actually take a little moment to rectify. That's a very big hit. That's a long night, sadly, for Nissan Motorsport to get this car back in shape for tomorrow morning.
So let's go to Greg Murphy.
Yeah, guys, with Stephen Toghill, Michael Caruso's engineer, did he obviously first up? He's got out of the car, but he reported he's all right.
Yeah, I think he's fine. It looks like he's just either broken something or that tyre let go that was rubbing after the collision with Reynolds there. But yeah, unfortunate, tough day, but the car was good in the first race, so hopefully tomorrow we're all right.
Yeah, real tough. This is going to be a bit of a late night. Yeah. Hopefully you get a late night and the car's not too badly damaged, so you can't get it fixed.
Yeah, that's true. It looks like he hit a bit square, so hopefully nothing moves. So yeah, fingers crossed.
All right, see you, mate.
You feel their pain, don't you? I mean, they work so hard, those guys, and you just know that it's not just the big night ahead, it's the hope that they can get him back on the grid for tomorrow's race. Meantime, we continue under safety car here.
The handy thing for Scott McLaughlin is, look, 10 seconds added to that stop, which he'd forgotten about there for a moment, so he's dropped back into position number 9. But because the field's compressed, even though he's lost track position, at least those that he's racing with a quick car are close to him.
Tim Edwards, sorry to chat to you when you are not in a good mood. We've managed to see a couple of replays now of the incident. Just your response to the incident?
Well, he's incompetent, isn't he? I mean, not much else you can say. But, you know, it's kind of karma happened to him anyway. But, yeah, it was just a stupid thing. He got a bit carried away and just went way too deep and ended up taking 2 other cars out. Just stupid. Don't need to be doing that in race 2 of the season.
Thanks for your time, Tim. Good luck tomorrow.
Not mincing his words. Go inside the DJR Team Penske bunker. Tim Cindric forward of screen and the great man at the back.
He was really enjoying his weekend. Was down in the garage before with him, and he was out there watching the trucks bouncing around and just can't believe the magnitude of the show. He's a passionate man and successful man when it comes to his motorsport. And their driver at the moment, Marcos Ambrose, is up to 19th position. He's in behind David Reynolds now. There he is. Jamie Whincup is the leader of the race. All the gaps have disappeared as a result of the deployment of the Lexus safety car. Whincup, Coulthard, Courtney, Lowndes. Marcus will be picking up a pile of valuable information here about how to squeeze performance out of the car, what they need to change, what he needs to alter in terms of his driving style. Really, when you think about what's happened here to Michael Caruso, and there's the forklift mentioned before that they'll need to use it to reposition that wall. All the troubles there for him in this race really have their hub in race number 1. So what happens in race 1 is you've got a quick car, a little mistake made. It's super easy to do because there's a lot of time to be made through that fast chicane, turn 1, 2, 3. So the drivers are hungry to find performance on the clock down there. So he makes a mistake, folds a guard onto the tyre. Then that creates a drama. He has to make an unscheduled stop, puts him out of sequence, bad result. Driver gets grumpy, frustrated, wants to go back out then in the second race, make amends for it. So there's a little shift in attitude, everything ramps up a notch, and then things can go wrong, and there's an impatience has crept in there, unfortunately, down the inside. Super fast, Michael. Car was really good, and he was looking forward to this weekend, but it's funny how little things can just unravel your game so quickly. And then he's got involved with David Reynolds down at turn 9, and then a lap later, as a result of the damage, has ended up in the wall at turn 8. So it's just a sequence of things that unfortunately have their root all the way back in the first race at turn number 1.
As we look at the Lexus RCF safety car, their Grand Tourer, which was unveiled here just a couple of weeks ago, controlling the field. A lot of mind management in all that for the engineers, isn't there, in terms of pre-race and as the game unfolds, given what you just said?
The really good engineers have got that amazing innate ability to communicate with their driver with just a look, let alone a spreadsheet. know that one of the really important aspects of the game here is the mind management. All of the drivers are at such a high level.
Team of car 8, that car needs to move forward and be ahead of cars 18 and 15. It's on the LAN and on the screen.
So car 8, Jason Bright, needs to be shuffled up the order. Yeah, the really good guys, those good combinations, are able to manage all that stuff, and the cars, the teams and the drivers are at such a high level. Very often what ends up happening here is it just becomes a mind game. It's just about managing all those little things, because everybody's quick.
We've got a confirmation on race control that car 8 needs to be in front of 8 and 15. So car 8 needs to be in front of 8 and 15 and 18. So car 8 needs to be in front of 18 and 15. So you should be ahead of Holdsworth and behind McLaughlin here, please, mate. Pass with caution. Thanks.
So Paul Scalzo was just trying to explain to Jason Bright, got his numbers all tangled up in the process, but the bottom line here is that Bright needs to shuffle up the order a couple of spots, so he'd gone out of sequence.
It's Bright there. We'll see if this redress happens.
Marcus Ambrose also on the radio just saying that he's worried about the front tyres on his car at the moment. I suspect he might have a flat spot or two, and they're just telling him as I speak that you know, they've got some other tyres if he needs them.
He said in the paper,
he says he can manage it. There he is on screen at the moment, and then he trailed off with a butt.
Huge expectation, you know, given his performance in 04 and 05, 4 straight. And, you know, for him to come back, we need to have a little bit of waiting time here, stepping out of a NASCAR back into this. We want him to do well. We want him to be back at the front, but that's a huge ask, given how much the cars have changed too.
It's actually a very, very hard game. You know, it's just, at every level, it's a really tough game, and he knows it. And that's one of the reasons why Marcus has just been to calm everybody down in expectation land, to say, look, let's just go easy here. History, in this instance, really doesn't mean terribly much. So, you know, he's a very, very, very good race driver, a world-class race driver, but you can find world-class race drivers in lots of categories in many different places, and you take them out of one environment, stick them into another, and it won't necessarily transpose straight away, Murph.
Yeah, well, let's just have another look at Turn 8. Obviously, it has claimed another couple of cars in this race, and we talk about it a lot, but it is an underlined corner in Australian motorsport right here. Okay, you approach there at about 245 k's an hour, the fastest part of the track. They dab the brake, they slow it down to about 215, through there in 6th gear. And we're going to look at a little bit of footage there. Chaz Mostert, one example today, just clipped the inside curb. And you're travelling through there, here we are, you see the front of the car, see him react to it, but he's just nailed the inside of that corner, and it sent his car straight into the concrete. A little bit different for, and unfortunate for Michael Caruso. We saw him touch earlier down to David Reynolds at turn 9 under brakes, and in this situation, his car never even looked like making that corner. Damage to the front, a tyre that was delaminating or deflating, and he's ended up in the fence. But this one is a huge biter, and it hurts when you hit it.
It's a real mix, isn't it? It's scary in some ways. It's a joy to watch them come through there, because it's a place that's only for the brave, but there is just no margin for error. And
okay, safety car, lights out, safety car, accelerate away from the field. Car 1, yes, car 1 to whole speed.
So Tim Schenken telling us we are about to go racing once again, but it could be a feeler gauge at times, that gap between car and wall, and if you step just a fraction over it, it can go pear-shaped and badly, given the speed you carry through there. So Whincup controls the field. We're about to get going once again in race 2 of the Clipsal 500. Is he about to make it 2 from 2? What can Coulthard and Courtney do?
Just quickly, Rusty, we're about to go racing, but
Safety car at pit lane.
in relation to the penalty for the false start for McLaughlin, Rule 8.1.7.3 says that you can't serve that stop and hold penalty under a safety car. So I think that's actually going to come up as an issue very shortly.
Man, what a day for McLaughlin.
All those rules, by the way, are available online on v8supercars.com.au. You can have a look at the ops manual if you're really hardcore and you want to see all that stuff. So we think in here that he wasn't able to actually fold that stop and the hold into that moment.
For now, go racing and concentrate on that. McLaughlin is inside the 10, but is there more pain to come for the guy who made headlines last year with a very popular podium, but day one has not gone well. Day one of racing's not gone well for him so far. Through 8. Oh, one of the Nissans. Moffat really close to the wall. Rick Kelly playing defensive there. Ash Walsh chasing him. On board with Moffat now.
Just feel the tempo of this one's a little bit rabid compared to the previous race. There's a little bit more going on. There's a bit more wild stuff creeping in here. It was a relatively sedate start in race number 1. This one's got a bit more edge in it.
While through the chicane, another great part of the circuit to watch them, and then up through here over the bumps. They work so hard to get the cars compliant to cope with that. Replay here. Watch this. Oh. Holdsworth, how close do you like it?
Well, Moffat and Holdsworth. And in fact, I reckon that wall was back a couple of millimetres as a result of the hit earlier on, which probably helped them.
Lucky. Courtney looking for a move here on Lowndes. Riding with Craig. He just clipped the curb a little on the way in. Van Gisbergen trying to defend from Slade. Tander's in there. There's McLaughlin. Then Moffat.
There's aggravation building in this little group here, so beware.
I love you can sense it, can't you?
You can. In fact, in the background, the audio there a moment ago, you would have heard cars that were all chattering on the rear brake into turn 9. So they've all basically got to a stage where they're all taking each other's brake lights as their braking cue. So they just all fire in and struggle to pull up. We're on board with Tim Slade, car number 47, 6th at the moment. It's Coulthard, Whincup, Lowndes, Courtney, Van Gisbergen. Curb strike for Rick Kelly. Where did Coulthard do that?
Yeah, we need to have a look at that.
I've had my head in the ops manual, so I've missed it. So a little margin here for Fabian now. Look behind them at the aggravation in this group.
Has Whincup got a drama?
I think he might have something bubbling
here.
Yeah, it's he's lost a pile of ground. So things change quickly in this game. There's a lot of debris on the racetrack back there as well on the run into a turn 8. Boys are running very narrow margins on the exit of 8 down there, aren't they? There's nothing left in terms of space on the left side of the car for a whole range of cars through there.
McLaughlin was trying to fly down the inside of Tander. Let's have a look at this here. Oh, 9. Couldn't pull it up at 9. New race leader in the Clipsal 500 on the podium. Last time, the Freightliner entry of Fabian Coulthard. He has a bit of a margin here as Moffat strikes trouble.
Very uncharacteristic of Jamie to make that error down there. So the field had bunched up. He's trying to make a gap after the restart. And he's conceded a position, a critical one here to Fabian. So there's the confirmation of what I raised a few moments ago about the serving of a penalty under a safety car. It is pretty clear in the ops manual.
Contact there. It looks like Courtney's going to get through on Lowndes. Gets there. Last year's winner on the Sunday does it. Round winner last year.
So watch Courtney here because he's got a good run on Whincup as well. Van Gisbergen grabs a position at turn 8. So watch Courtney when they get down to 9. He's chasing Whincup. He has a look to the inside. He sticks the nose underneath the Red Bull entry. And look at Slade with Lowndes. And he's sideways. There's a bit of skittling going on, but Courtney has put on a move here as Van Gisbergen moves to recovery mode. I told you there was aggravation and Slade's got a drama. Damage to Tim Slade's car, front left-hand corner.
Gone. Slade was looking pretty reasonable too. And look at McLaughlin, he's made some ground as a result of this, but in the back of your mind, it's under review the way they've handled that penalty, Greg.
It was all on. Did you see Slade? He got down the inside, but like we've seen so many times already, he couldn't pull it up down on the dirty side, and he's given Van Gisbergen the clip, spun him around.
So as soon as I saw the run that Courtney got off turn 7, I knew there was a big chance for it to be on down at 9. Oh, yeah, massive rear brake locking there. Tim Slade's just made huge contact, and it's centre punched that thing. Front left-hand suspension's hanging out of that car. And that's where he hit Van Gisbergen, who's had to go the other way.
Great presence of mind from Tander as well, who manages to somehow avoid all that. But that was it for Slade.
Yeah, he's on the inside. Oh, Whincup's got drama. Left rear of that car's got a problem. And Whincup is going to have to come into the pit lane.
Okay, mate, have you hit the wall? No, mate, just need a dirty rear tyre. Good to go.
Yep, so
Okay,
he's just...
mate, so that tyre's been laminated, so we're just going to change the rear.
Remarkably calm, considering what's happening, Jamie Whincup.
Yeah, he paused while he got the car through the corner, got it all straightened up, tried to make a quick assessment, got back on the radio, gives them forewarning so they know what to look for. Meantime, Slade's gone back into the garage because the front left of that car is hanging off. You won't see him again this afternoon, and here comes Jamie Whincup.
Okay then, mate. Guys, make sure we don't do any work underneath our stand, please. So just get it down the radio, okay?
So what happened there? We're seeing it a bit late in the game. Is there something on the road? A lot of cars and slip and slide.
There's been some debris in a couple of places. Has that contributed to it, maybe?
So it looks like they've been able to get away with just the left rear wheel change. Cold left rear tyre. In fact, I think they've done both rears. Yeah, so cold rears, warm fronts. Here's the replay. Does this tell a bit more of the story? Oh, it actually let go before he got there. It let go on turn in. So it's actually somewhat remarkable that he's managed to get through turn 8 without wiping that car down the wall.
That's a good save, given what happened there. What a day for Jamie Whincup. He makes a bit of history with his 90th career win, but not in race 2. Coulthard leading the way from a fast Courtney, James Courtney, in second position. We look at Lowndes here in third. And then it's McLaughlin, Tander and Bright. Here's your race leader.
Nice margin here for Coulthard over Courtney. He's got 3.2 seconds in the Freightliner entry. And here's Lowndes. Lowndes is in position 3. He's got McLaughlin behind. There's still no word about what they're doing in terms of that stop. And I understand there's going to likely be some discussion about this post-race. The stewards can look into it. Sorry, Murph, go.
Mark Dutton, all going on out there. Jamie, where did he notice he had the puncture? You're not sure how he managed to get that?
Yeah, exactly. We're not sure if it happened before he ran wide into 9 or deep into 9, or it was caused by that, if he running wide into dirty stuff. So we're not exactly sure when it happened. Problem is, he thought he felt it the lap before, and he called it, and we were ready, so he should have come in then. So we'll have to review that, because he had the skill to stay off the wall, but still we've dropped more spots because we didn't come in straight away, so not ideal.
Spectacular save not to end up like the others in the wall at turn 8.
Yeah, but shouldn't be having to do those, but obviously has the skill to do it.
And Lowndes, he lost some momentum. It looked like he got out of sync or got some dirt on his tyres, but he lost a couple of spots there. He's managed to gain back up again.
Yeah, he's had great pace. He's been stuck behind Courtney for a bit there, but then obviously on the restart got in. And when you're tussling with your teammate, it's always a little bit difficult because obviously they know the rules. They race hard, but trying to take each other out. So with Jamie's tyre going down, Lowndes has done a great job to be fast, race hard, and not take him out or anyone else.
Thanks for the update.
Cheers, mate.
Mark Dutton in conversation with Greg Murphy there. So Jamie played a big get-out-of-jail card there to be able to wrestle that car away from the turn 8 wall. So this is the onboard. It's right on this one. Oh, yeah, so you hear it just explode left rear. And look at this. Massive amount of opposite lock correction all the way through the corner, and you can see him looking around in the mirrors to just make sure that he's clear of everybody.
radio chat for Garth Tander in car 2, talking about potential oil on the windscreen. I think the suggestion is that's coming from McLaughlin's car. He puts some pressure on Lowndes here. Not enough to get it done at turn 9.
It's getting worse, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Garth will be disturbed by the amount of smoke that he's seeing. And so he's hoping to draw a reaction from race control. So race control will ask marshals, sector marshals around the circuit if they can actually see anything. Because sometimes there can also be a little bit of gamesmanship in that process. It's handy if someone else can shift him for you. Coulthard. Still got 3 odd seconds here over Courtney.
None so far.
Brad Jones Racing's had 9 V8 Supercar race wins, but never won on a street track. Coulthard has 4 race wins, but 0 on street track. So this could be a special day for them. Could be.
Richard Holway had just said to Scott McLaughlin, you've got no strikes, and then dead set 5 seconds afterwards, he got a strike across the curbing down at turn 2. So he's moved on to 1. Craig Lowndes has got 2. Andre Heidgartner's been given a bad sportsmanship flag. He's got 3. The other in dual figures is Dale Wood. He's got a couple as well, and there's probably about 3 or 4 other drivers that've got a single strike at the moment.
Rick Kelly finished that first race in 15th position. He's up to 7th right now for Nissan Motorsport. Good effort by him in the Jack Daniels Racer. Here's Bright having a look at Garth Tander.
And that debate that I raised there a little while ago about what they may or may not do with Scott McLaughlin, and the fact that he took the stop-go or the stop-and-hold penalty during the safety car.
Sportsmanship flag, car 5 over use of turn 2 curbs.
And Mark Winterbottom's now got the bad sportsmanship flag because he's near the bottom of the bank in terms of the credits that he's got down there. They are going to discuss this at the end of the race. The stewards do have the power to look at it, and it may well be the case that the time is added at the end of the race rather than making a judgment on it right now as to whether or not it was right or wrong. So we'll wait and see. That's one that'll get cleaned up either tonight before we go off air, or we'll sort it out for you tomorrow morning.
Slow-mo of Craig Lowndes and McLaughlin through the centre chicane. Neil's been talking about the triggering of the curb sensor in this part of the world. Off turn 2, they get a number of strikes. A bad sportsmanship flag, and then if you do too many, you'll serve a pit lane penalty. Back with the Triple Eight. Coulthard now over 3 seconds. McLaughlin has a look, not enough again.
Hear him short shift. So he fired it out of there in first gear just to launch it. Quickly grabs second gear. A little bit of evidence of tailiness from Craig Lowndes' car. It's just sliding a little bit in the rear. It's late in the day now. Tyres have seen their best. Craig might be slipping and sliding, but Scott's got this little smoke issue that's a niggle. It may not be affecting car performance, but the visuals are not good.
Ash Walsh has done a good job too, Neil. 8th position right now in car 4 for the rookie. That's worth pointing out. Lee Holdsworth is in the 10 as we continue to watch this battle. And Tander and Bright are getting a little bit closer here. Rick Kelly as well, we talked about before.
This is going to bubble up here, Rusty, because McLaughlin is slowly reeling in this little battle. Meantime, for this guy, for Fabian, it's all good news. What a way for Freightliner to start. Mark Dutton here in conversation with David Stewart. Looks like it's a friendly conversation at the moment. Note to self, go to lip reading school.
Yeah.
So, Lowndes is on the teetering edge under brakes. He's really under pressure here, and McLaughlin gets by. Good move, Scotty. He pressured and pressured and pressured and finally got it done down there. You could see the lap earlier that the rear of Lowndes' car was chirping under pressure. He was sliding the car here and there, and McLaughlin kept his foot on his throat, and it worked in the end. Right at the stop when the rear brakes are at their hottest and the rear tyres are hurting, Craig's skates are in speedway style and McLaughlin gets by.
We hear the discussion that Mark Dutton may have had there with the officials relates to the handling of the penalty for Scott McLaughlin. I think they feel like they want it done or dealt with now rather than later, if that is what has indeed happened in that conversation.
Yeah, I must admit, and sometimes you know, on the run when we're all blazing, it's a little bit hard to read the 2-inch manual, digest it all. But the way it reads to me, I thought it was pretty clear cut. But nothing's ever razor edge in this business, so it's a discussion for later on. It's the smoke that we're focused on here. The smoke from 33 from the Volvo for Scott McLaughlin. What a difficult day, but what a brilliant recovery. Drama for him on the warm-up lap, race 1, if you weren't with us during our earlier coverage. Didn't even make it round to the start of the race after a huge oil spill, a failure somewhere in the oil system in the engine, covered his rear tyres with oil, spat him into the wall. There was a brief oil fire, which they sorted. They did a miraculous engine change in that car, got him back out, and now he's all guns blazing, position 3, chasing Fabian Coulthard and James Courtney. Holden 1 and 2, Volvo 3, then Lowndes, who's having a battle with the rear of that car in position 4, and then Tander, and then Jason Brighter's in 6th with a curb strike. Further back behind him is Rick Kelly, the first of the Nissans. Ash Walsh, as Greg pointed out before, is doing a mighty job as a main game rookie in 8th. Then James Moffat, Lee Holdsworth 10th, who's also just dipped into the bank in terms of his curb strikes as well.
I'd want to look at the replay, but I reckon McLaughlin was almost maxed out under braking there as he finally got by Lowndes before a little bit of a slide on, but great presence of mind when he anticipated the drama for Lowndes, straight through. Back with Kelly here. Van Gisbergen is 13th. Ahead of them, you can see Mark Winterbottom and Lee Holdsworth. Counting down to the finish of this second race. Coulthard, is he about to win on the streets of Adelaide? It'd be a great day for Brad Jones Racing if he achieved that.
Yeah, that's a big welcome to their new partners and a nice turnaround. So far this weekend, it's been his best ever Clipsal 500 weekend, and he may well put an icing on the cake in that statement. Here he is, looking strong. At last count, the margin was 2.6 seconds. That was him in the background. How many to go? When you've got a margin like that, you just love to hear the music in your ears. Yeah, this is the last one. You're all done and dusted. There's Brad Jones, team owner. It was Phil Keith, bottom left of screen, his engineer, and the supervising engineer, Andrew Edwards. This team based in Albury punches above its weight. They don't have the biggest budgets. They don't have a huge depth of people, but they work 24/7 at the game of motor racing. They love it. And they work it and have worked it for decades successfully. And this will mean a lot to them if they can put this together.
And he's a confidence guy, the Kiwi as well. He was pretty down in the mouth at the pre-season test and a bit frustrated, I guess you could say, at times. This will be good for him, won't it?
Never had a podium at the Clipsal event. 10 finishes from the last 11 races and 8 top 10, so he's had consistency and he's been there or thereabouts, Fabian Coulthard, but this one would be nice if he can stitch it together, but it's not done. Courtney's doing a very good job for the Holden Racing team as well. And this little pack, there's potential for a shuffle around here. We've already seen some wild stuff across the top of the curb for Todd Kelly. So Coulthard, Courtney, McLaughlin, Lowndes, Tander, Bright, Rick Kelly, Moffat, Walsh, Holdsworth and Winterbottom.
And if you're a Marcus Ambrose fan, he's 16th at the moment, so the qualifying may not have gone to plan, but he's found some positions. Yes, there's been a few who've bowed out of this game, but he's made a little bit of progress. Hopefully we can keep seeing that from the 17.
8th in the championship last year, Coulthard. 3 poles, and he was a winner at his home test track at Winton. And here's McLaughlin, 3rd at the moment. Rick Kelly, meanwhile, has also had an additional curb strike. It moves him on to 2 curb strikes. Rihanna.
Gary Rogers, there seems to be some confusion in terms of this penalty for Scott McLaughlin. Some people are saying that you didn't serve it appropriately because you did it under safety car. Your response to that?
Oh, well, I think I know he'd be saying that, but that's beside the point. The fact is, it was a 10-second penalty after the pit stop. The officials are there, timed the stop, we timed the spot, we know where we're going. I mean, to me, that's just petty bullshit.
Thanks, Gary.
Roland Dane, you've just seen the penalty come up on the screen there, giving Oh, that's oil's getting worse coming out of that car too. You've seen the penalty come up for Scott McLaughlin, adding that 10 seconds to his race time at the finish.
Yeah, that's the rules. He should have really had that pit stop take place and the penalty under a green flag, and he didn't. So he has to have 10 seconds out at the end of the race. Jump start, it is what it is. Only the Lions haven't had one of those at some point.
Real shame what happened to Jamie Whincup, obviously, with that puncher that he got, and miraculous to stay off the wall at 8, but he's a fairly miraculous sort of guy.
Yeah, it was good control, but it shouldn't have ever been allowed to happen. They should, when you've got one of the most challenging corners in the country here, they should know better than to leave the track unswept after an accident like that. That should have been cleared up properly, and that's what caused the puncture. Luckily, Jamie didn't suffer an accident as a result of it, but it should be a lesson to all those concerned.
There you are, a lesson.
Certainly a lot of debris up there. Roland making strong statements. Gary Rogers making one as well. There's plenty of feeling in the pit lane. This means a lot to all. Tander, Moffat, Holdsworth, Reynolds and Blanchard are all curb striking at the moment. And striking a blow down the inside is Jason Bright on Rick Kelly. So a slightly different strategy for Bright, recovering from that awful qualifying for him. He struck the wall in qualifying for this race. But it's been a speedy weekend and we're seeing evidence of it now. So that's a nice job. Just behind him, Rick Kelly, then James Moffat. And behind them, Ash Walsh, 9th position now.
So for Brad Jones Racing, 2 cars in the top 6. And Coulthard leading the way, potentially.
Car 14 has commenced the last lap.
Potentially about to get that breakthrough for Brad Jones Racing.
And for his car, named Tallulah. So we love to make the business scientific. We love to talk up all the rocket science aspects of it, but there are some weird hoodoos in the way the drivers name their cars and some of the little rituals that they go through. But this is going to be a sweet one for Freightliner and for Brad Jones Racing, because they've thrown a punch at the big teams today and they've come up trumps. It's 2.8 seconds, Coulthard to Courtney. Good news for last year's Clipsal 500 winner, because it wasn't a great run to his satisfaction in that last race for James Courtney, but he's going to get some vital points here. But this one, as I said earlier in the day, Greg, there was a bit more feeling in the field, a little bit more aggravation and a bit more going on. Nothing is ever straightforward and simple in this game.
10 years ago, Fabian Coulthard won the Porsche Carrera Cup round here. The same year, 2005, that he won that title. Is this a good omen for the 32-year-old Kiwi, originally from Auckland, New Zealand, now living, of course, in Melbourne? For the Brad Jones Racing team for Albury, it is a sweet victory, and sweet for Fabian Coulthard. He takes victory in race 2. Terrific stuff, James Courtney. McLaughlin 3rd, but there's a question mark over all that, and of course we've just seen some clarification in relation to that, and some unhappy people in the lane.
So, you had great pace, and the felt great, you had great pace, I think. Really,
and that's going to elevate Lowndes, Tander, Bright. You've got to add 10 seconds to McLaughlin. We'll get all that sorted, so the results for the moment will be provisional, but there is the man, Brad Jones. This will be big. Adele White, team chiropractor.
Very happy. Thank you. Thanks,
Lenny. Lynn Story, Wally's wife, who does catering for Brad Jones Racing. It's a family effort. And Fabian Coulthard has ticked the boxes, 75 points. Nice work this afternoon. Been a bit low profile this weekend. Every time I've gone to find him, he's been hiding somewhere. Smart move. And he's done a nice job, as has James Courtney. Got to feel a little bit there for Scott McLaughlin, but he may have been a little over-eager at the start. And certainly that's the way the officials saw it. But Holden Racing Team actually have come out of this looking pretty good, Greg, because both Courtney and Tander are well and truly at the sharp end here. And as Roland said before, he made a political statement, but I tell you, they're lucky to have a solid car after the end of this race today and have some points, or they could have been facing a long night. But it hasn't been a disastrous day for them, for either of the guys, either for both Jamie and for Craig Lowndes.
Waiting for the clarification, the correction on the results as far as McLaughlin is concerned. The feeling is that once the penalty is applied, it may be a 9th place finish ultimately. He crossed the line in 3rd, which is the point I was trying to make before. But Lowndes by all accounts, will be on the podium for race 2, along with Courtney, and of course, a pretty proud race winner, Fabian Coulthard.
Last time on the podium was Sydney Motorsport Park in those mixed conditions back in winter last year. 5th career victory in V8 Supercar competition. Moves on to 21 podiums.
Never won on a street track. Very cool. Very cool for Brad Jones Racing. Well done. Awesome stuff for Coulthard. He's happy about it. He's had a couple of seasons where he perhaps may have started strong or then had a tough midsection or a difficult back end of the year. He wants a good, consistent season where he's at the pointy end all of the time. And he's begun this race weekend, he's begun this championship the right way. Kim Jones congratulates his driver. I think that was Becky, his partner, there as well. James Courtney, we didn't see as part of the race unfolded. He was chipping away. He was taking a few tenths out of him. It was a good drive by Courtney. Slick stop by the Holden Racing team this time around. As we go to the pit lane, Rihanna.
If I can just squeeze through here and track down Fabian Coulthard. Fabian, congratulations, your first victory on a street circuit and the first victory for Brad Jones Racing here on a street track as well. Well done.
Yeah, look, it all started off yesterday, you know. First front row start for BJR, and to come home this afternoon with, you know, a third in the first race, a race win today. Pretty pumped, awesome. Thanks to the guys at Freightliner. All my boys done a great job.
Hey, it's early days yet, but you're leading the championship for day 1 of 2015.
Yeah, that's not a bad stat, but it'd be a lot nicer in December.
Well done, Fabs. And we'll head over here and find James Courtney. James, it was a tougher day earlier today. It's been around here, but nice way to be on the podium today.
Yeah, look, the car was really quite good in the start of the race when just settling into my rhythm and everything, and then we lost the balance. Made a small bar adjustment in the safety car, and the car wasn't too good. Lowsy got back past me, changed it back, got back past him, and yeah, Fabian had too much of a gap. But no, great result for everyone on board, all the team. Like you said, the first race wasn't good. This is what we should have done in the first one, so bring on tomorrow.
Congratulations, JC. Get up there and spray some champagne. And we'll find our third place on the podium, Craig Lowndes, the veteran of the Clipsal 500. Been here for every single one of the races. Craig, it wasn't without its dramas, but well done to be on the podium.
Yeah, thanks. Look, it's great to Fabs. You know, he deserved it. He had a good, clean run there. Shame for Jamie, he had a left rear tyre explode going into the worst corner of this track in turn 8. But to all our guys at Red Bull, it's nice to be on the podium. We had a good battle with Courtney sort of in the middle part. He managed to get by me, and of course then it was on for young and old. Had a great battle there with Scotty at the end, but credit to the team. We made some small adjustments between race 1 and race 2. So we're moving forward with Shippy. He's a great guy.
Well done, Craig. Congratulations.
Cheers, thank you.
Super stuff.
Scotty McLaughlin, what a day. I really don't know where to start. You know, after the first, didn't even get around the first lap of the first race. And then after all that stuff, the start, then you get a penalty at the end for not doing your penalty at the right time. I mean, what do you say?
What can you say? I mean, that's the rules, but I think it's fair and square. We stopped, but obviously I'm biased, but we stopped at our penalty, whatever. Like, we did it. So I took a penalty. I went back to like 8th or something and worked my way back forward. Yeah, but that's right. That's the rules.
Unfortunately, I mean, the car was pacey too. You had some really good pace in that. You could see the speed at the start and a great start to get you going as well. So to have all that happen and have it taken away from you, it is tough. But, you know, the consolation is tomorrow is another day, and this car is showing some good speed.
Oh, it is. It's great. But, you know, I stuffed up there. I didn't... It was touch and go that start as well. And then, it sucks, man. But it's first race of the year, first races of the year, and we've got a fast car. So I'm pretty happy.
What was the go at the start? I mean, did you have an issue with the line lock or the clutch, or it did move, but it was just line ball as if you jumped the start?
No. I jumped it. Yeah, I was a bit too eager, and stuffed up there. I've been working on releasing my clutch bite just so I can get off the start quicker, and it worked this time. I got the start, but just a bit too fast.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
So Fabian Coulthard's round win is Brad Jones Racing's 10th V8 Supercar race win. It's first on a street track. It's the first win, of course, with their new Bacchus Freightliner, and just the second on the 14 car. 5th race win, as Neil said before, of Coulthard's V8 Supercar career. A couple of other standout performances you saw a moment ago there before the page turned. Moffat, P7, his best Clipsal result, and what could have been for Jamie Whincup as we go to the podium and Chad Naylor.
It's time for the podium for race 2 here at the Clipsal 500 Adelaide. In first place for Freightliner Racing, Fabian Coulthard. In second place for the Holden Racing team, James Courtney. And third on the podium for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. And presenting the winning team for Freightliner Racing, Ebony Hawkins. Presenting the third place trophy, Mr. Andrew Ford, Chairman of the South Australian Motorsport Board. Second place trophy, Mr. Jeff Timms, Director of Sales for Schneider Electric. The winning team trophy comes from Mr. David Gardner, Vice President for Clipsal and Schneider Electric Partner Business. And your first place trophy comes from the Honourable Leon Bignell MP, Minister for Motorsport. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015 V8 Supercars Clipsal 500 Adelaide Race 2 winners.
Nice to see Jamie Whincup there supporting Craig Lowndes. Lowndes' podium in this race, his 9th straight top 5 finish at the Clipsal 500. We didn't talk about it during the results either, but Ash Walsh scored his best solo driver result in V8 Supercars in that second race of the 500 here, 8th. It's Erebus's best Clipsal 500 result. So a couple of other standouts there, but it's this man here that's quite rightly enjoying the moment, enjoying the celebrations. And good points too, given his podium in the first race a little earlier today. Let's have a look at how it unfolded. So it was fractional, but it was judged to be a jump start. Scott McLaughlin led them away in the 33 after a massive rebuild, an engine change by the Gary Rogers Motorsport team. 8 would claim some victims. Clipping that inside curb for Mostert resulted in big damage and saw him out of the race. Jamie Whincup just getting out ahead of Fabian Coulthard. In fact, there was a touch as they left the lane. Lots of battles going on, including this one. Between, they had 3 goes at it. Moffat and Garth Tander. As Adrian Burgess looked on, Todd Kelly airborne over the chicane, and it helped Ash Walsh a little. It slowed both he and Dale Wood up, and then when they got to 3 here, Walsh was in the mix, but there was contact with Dale.
Unfortunately, it pitched him into the wall. That was an awkward one by Michael Caruso down the inside here of David Reynolds. And that set off a chain of events that triggered this. Michael Caruso heavily into the wall at turn 8. Oh my goodness. Shifted the concrete block, a couple of tons of it, and that's going to set up a very long, hard night for everybody at Nissan Motorsport, because that'll be substantial damage. Hopefully it hasn't actually moved any of the key components in the core of the car. Little controversy surrounding the stop and hold penalty there for Volvo. And some are interpreting the rules such a way that you can't do that during the deployment of a safety car. There's no doubt that he did hold. Initially he flinched.
9. Couldn't pull it up at 9.
And this had us puzzled for a moment because all of a sudden Fabian Coulthard popped to the top of the computer at car number 14, and there was that drama for Whincup down at turn 9. And that little mid-pack got into some big aggro down at turn 9. Tim Slade had a dive down the inside, tagging Van Gisbergen, damaged the front left. This is one of the mighty saves of all time. Jamie Whincup, tyre pops as a result of debris on the racetrack, wrestled it around the corner, didn't wipe a Red Bull logo down that wall, got back, got a new set of cold rear tyres. They did both of them on that car. Craig Lowndes was under pressure. The rear of the car was going away. McLaughlin got by despite the smoking Volvo. Didn't seem to be hurting his pace. Just didn't look good, and they were appreciating that. It's been a tough day in at Gary Rogers Motorsport. Grant McPherson in at the Red Bull garage there. Meantime, this guy built up a little cushion after that mistake that was made by Whincup, and he got it out to about 3 seconds, and then it flattened off nicely, and he stayed there. First time on the podium since Sydney Motorsport Park last August, and a big win, his best Clipsal result, and sets him up perfectly for tomorrow for Fabian Coulthard. Fantastic performance for all at Freightliner and for Brad Jones Racing. They get 75 critical points today.